Mandate.
What's up, fam? Welcome to Mandate, where we talk about issues pertaining to our people and in particular to our men. This platform is about having open talanoa around certain issues, but also look at ways where we can refine who we are as men, unlock our true potential, and take charge of our lives. So my name is Charles, and that's my brother, Betia Wilson, aka Mad Messenger, and we are your co-hosts this evening for Mandate. And this evening we got a special guest all the way from out west. He's one of the best, but we won't hold it to him that he's from west. We usually like to keep it south side, but this is for our people, by our people. And so I'm going to hand it over to Mad Messenger, and he's going to introduce who this fine, good-looking young man we have here.
Awesome. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Salisa. Hey, we're in for another treat again tonight. We're obviously we're locked down, so it's level 3, and so we're here on the luxury on Zoom and online. And so we have an awesome guest tonight. And so he hails from the beautiful islands of Niue, affectionately known as the Rock of Polynesia. He's also from Te Rarawa, Iwi in the far north. He's also a Westie. He's a Westie. He says he's a Westie through and through, born and raised in Avondale, and he attended St. Mary's Primary, also Liston College. Yeah, give it up, Liston College. He's married to his lovely wife, Lise, and they have one daughter called Wairere, who is 4 years old and attends the Aonga Amata in Avondale. Currently, he is the Community Resolutions Lead at Turukia Healthcare in Monaco, whereby he supports those who have come to the attention of the police to undertake alternative pathways to address the offending. And also in his spare time, he is a trustee of a youth charity in West Auckland running a leadership program for high school students as well as community martial arts classes. Some notable achievements: he says marrying his university crush, yes, well done also, being able to complete his bachelor's degree in geography, he says it while in prison, but also being able to gain his master's degree in planning, first class honors, well done, man. He got this when he got released, but also becoming a dad, he states there's no better feeling. Also starting a charity with his good mates called the Brotherhood Continues, BHC Charitable Trust. Also leads a podcast with his good friend Hydro called Concrete Convo. Also former Malangi Mama, Whakalofa Atu Kiokoi, and kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai, haere mai, welcome to the show, Barney Wikitera-Kuki. Hey, Valus.
Shabalas. Hey, that was the build-up of doom. Oh my God, man.
That's some amazing. Sorry, Barney, just right off the bat, Barney, just because we've always been asking, since we're locked down and level 3 now, but how's your kind of lockdown been in terms of mentally? How have you been mentally this time around, brother?
It's been different, eh? I think compared to the first one, I think this time around, a lot more anxiety, to be honest. To be honest, I think most of it not coming from the fear of actual COVID. It's just the echoes and voices about the direction we're taking as a country. I think there's a lot of feedback and a lot of echo negative, and that's been a bit of just reading a lot of that online has been probably the most anxious part of it all. That we're not all in the same boat, whatever which way that looks like. But yeah, well, family-wise, it's just been the routine's been good because we knew the routine previously. So I think my wife was quite prepared about what lay ahead for us in regards to what we are meant to be doing. But yeah, I think personally it was just trying hard to block out all the echoes. But it hasn't been quite successful because you get quite triggered sometimes. But I'm saying that I'm still grateful because still got a job. And, so I know a lot of families didn't have that privilege at this time, so can't complain too much. But got to be real about the situation that I'm in. And acknowledge that.
That's Minus. How do you cope? So, what are your coping strategies in terms of dealing with the anxiety or like some of the voices that those echoes that we're hearing in the community?
I guess first and foremost, like just disconnecting. I think that's probably the big one. Just to disconnect when the shouts and the echoes get too loud. Secondly, physical activity training. I think I'm lucky because we're locked down and my brother's a PT, so that guy's got all these new tricks. To physical activity, so we've been waking up at 5:30, and it's been good actually, a good habit to hopefully keep intact when work starts or levels drop. And then lastly, just spending family time with my family, watching movies, just chilling out, pack of the chips and drinks, and just not even thinking about everything. So those are kind of the three top things that I've been doing lately to kind of combat anxiety a little.
Barney, sorry, Barney. If you see me kind of looking down all the time, Barney, it's just that I'm just jotting down the things that we're talking about tonight and what you're sharing. So just in case you think this guy's not even listening, but I am listening. So no worries, all good also.
And apologies to our viewers if I look like a pilot. I need some new headphones, but no, that's sure. Also, have you, while we're still on lockdown, have you created any new dishes? Have you been creative during this period, or?
I think I've been pretty creative, to be honest, with my foods, because I like food. So I've been I like cooking anyway. In regards to any new dishes, I'll probably just refining my flavors. Sometimes I over garlic stuff, got the habit of chucking garlic and everything, just garlic on this, garlic on that, garlic on this. It's like, so now I've kind of, peeled back the garlic and kind of balanced out the ginger and added a lot more subtle flavors rather than strong, like soy sauce and everything. Cut back on the soy sauce and use some sweet side chili or something like that. Yeah,
that's me.
Yes, sorry, Barney, because just in terms of the work that you do, that Barney, and I think a lot of men might be watching this and wondering, hey, well, what's Barney's story? And so, if you can tell us a little bit about your formative years, Barney, like what were you like, kind of growing up, and a little bit, what kind of really influenced you growing up, and what kind of shaped you as a youngster?
Oh man, that's just taking it back a bit. I grew up in Avondale, like you said, Brother Patia, and I'm proud. I'm proud of where I'm from. And I represent because I work in South Auckland. I've been working there for the last 8 years, and I always stand my ground. I'm from Avondale. Yeah, I'm from Avondale, born and raised. Because I love my area. I was born and raised in Avondale, working class town, industrial town. It's kind of a ghost town between West and South, West and Central. And so grew up on my way, went to school there, played footy. I really enjoyed my childhood. But in saying that, I think probably I probably experienced it kind of, that I learned from and kind of taught me. Actually, probably I have to thank for, even though it's not probably. I think they call it like your traumatic strengths. They call it. I think they call it your traumatic strengths, which is kind of like an oxymoron, like two winds that shouldn't go together. I think my traumatic strength has been like growing up with a father who didn't really know how to father. I think that taught me a lot about my parenting skills, and it taught me a lot about myself and the things that I wanted to do in life, and then taught me a lot about being resilient in the face of adversity. Grew up with a dad, and I look back on it, and he didn't have a good grandfather. I mean, he didn't have a good father as well, so he was just repeating behaviors that he saw. And I know that now because I traveled back to Niue a few times, and I've met my grandfather's family and heard stories of how my dad grew up, and I understood my dad's upbringing. And so, growing up in Avondale, and my dad being a part-time father, to say the least, and when he was present, not being the best of times, especially towards my mother. And I think that sort of situation, I reflect back on now, and I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot about my family, my mom, my brothers, and like I said, the traumatic experiences come from their upbringing, and yeah. So that was my early years. And when you're in it, you don't think it's wrong. You don't think it's anything wrong with growing up and having violence in the home and growing up and not having our dad around. I think that's normal because a lot of the boys that you grow up with were in similar situations. So you just thought, the old story, we'll compare bruises at school or like talk about our dad being angry and not being at home and that sort of stuff. So you kind of, you just kind of thought it was normal until you grow older and you meet some people from different walks of life, so you figure out, hey, they never, they didn't live a life we lived, and it's not normal. And then, but yeah, so that was my childhood growing up in Avondale. I had a really awesome mum and grandmothers. My mum was just a real constant, like strong figure in our lives. Amongst the storm, she would always keep us pretty solid, whatever she could do. Um, if we walk in the streets to find somewhere to stay or jumping from house to house and trying to run and going back and those sort of things. She would just try to keep us safe the best as she could. And then we had two grandmothers as well. My Maori grandmother and my Niue grandmother. They were in that corner as well. So they were bastions of support at times of need. But then again, like they could do so much, and um, to us to help our situation. But what they did was um, real powerful. Um, yeah, so it was my childhood. So I enjoyed school, but same old story. You get those reports back from school, and same old line. We all get like not we all get, but it's common to hear is that Barney, doesn't sit still, but he has a lot of potential. If he just focused, a lot of potential. So that was common in my report cards, and I was always on like not the best in class, but I'll always be second or third. I remember intermediate, I didn't get the shield for like academic excellence, and I came second. And then for some reason, like I didn't want to, I was just I'm disappointed in myself. I didn't get the support, but then I don't know why I was disappointed because I was lazy. For some reason, I thought I could just pull it through on talent. Like talent can only get you so far. Yeah, and yeah, and that was my early childhood. And I had my brothers as well. Grew up with one younger brother, one older brother, and full credit to my older brother. Right, he was quite a protector at the time of turmoil. My mum did what she could do, but sometimes she couldn't do some things, and my brother had to jump in and protect our family. So I always pay big respects to my brother who did that for us at that time. But he left home when we were 17. So it was just me and my younger brother there for most of the time, which put me in a position to try to play his role. But I don't think I was on reflection, I don't think I was the best person to be playing the older brother role in the household. I made a few mistakes growing up as well that I didn't protect my family. Yeah, so I learned a lot through that as well. And then as I grew up, it was I was went to high school. High school was good. Those are 2 more years that I was at home by myself. I know my brother had left, and it was just me, my mum, my little brother. But my dad kept coming back and forth, and I was trying to navigate that space, trying to keep my family safe, trying to go to school. But then my dad had another family that we were close to as well, and they were facing the same traumatic experiences that we were. And so I was trying to support them as well during that time. And I was in 15, 16 that time. So just trying to keep my family safe, try to help out my other half brothers and keep their family safe, and trying to deal with a man who kept coming in, creating a storm. But yeah, we had people trying to help. But I guess you can only help as much as you want it. At that time, I think we closed ranks, trying to do things our own. The old embarrassments and shame of being family like ours. It's pretty hard. Um, yeah. But I ended up going to university. I went to university, but just made it in. Just kind of squeezed in. I mean, I think that's a story of my life. growing up then. It was just squeezing in, just getting by, just enough. And amongst the craziness, I was just trying to stay afloat. And so I got into uni. I wanted to be a school teacher. I had aspirations of being a school teacher, because there's some really positive school teachers at Liston College. Shout out to Liston College. That was a really good school. Quite quiet and unknown back when I went there. I think there was only 300 or something students. Back when I went to Liston, and we weren't too known for anything, not too known for footy or academic. We kind of just quiet school out west, just doing our thing. I got there by accident as well. I didn't end up there. I wanted to go to St. Paul's to play footy with my mates. But my mum was like, nah, you're gonna get in trouble, and we're gonna send you to St. Peter's. And so I tried St. Peter's, and but I missed the enrollment date for Arizona's. Yeah, and then our church priest said, "Oh, why don't you try Liston?" And then try Liston, but they were looking for numbers. So there were those open arm ones. You could come whenever you want, mate. Just come. You didn't even have to enroll. Just start today. And so here was me studying at Liston without even like showing my IDs and stuff. And then I got sorted that following week. But yeah, so I wanted to be a teacher because I had a couple of good teachers at Liston. Mr. Lay, who was our geography teacher. I just really enjoyed the way he taught the class. Like he was eccentric. He had these stories beyond stories. I was like, man, are you sure that's even in the history books? Like, are you sure this was the New Zealand history? I've never read this before. I just like the way he packaged his education. Like he didn't just read it from a book. He was like delivered and acting it out. This guy, I believe. And then so he was really good at teaching the subject. And then Mr. Solomon, he was like an older brother at school. He knew things were going on at home, and he read the play pretty early on. Piece. He knew things weren't too settled, and so he would stop by and just keep an eye about what I was doing. And there were a couple of times where I wanted to leave school and go to work, help out the family, but he just stuck at me like, nah, stay in it, man, stay in it, don't, and he's I want to actually. To change, like I wanted to be, because typical at school, you want to be the artist, the cool guy, be the artist. You join everywhere. So in fourth form, I wanted to do art for fifth form, and then Mr. Solomon was like, "Nah, mate. You're not a great artist. You're not a great artist. Don't do art." And so, yeah, like he was like just pretty. He's like, "I'm gonna be honest. You're not a great artist." I was like, "Oh," and then I didn't really like art. I just did it because all the boys did it. And then he's like, man, do something what you're passionate about, which I ended up really enjoying geography and history. And and that's how I ended up studying that at school, because I wanted to be a social studies teacher. Yeah, I'll teach our young people about our history, about our landscape, about our people. So that's what I wanted to do at uni. Then I got to uni, then that's why I met my wife. She was in my history class. And then she was in my history class, and she's from yeah. We read our own history book. And then I met her at uni, and so we were just friends first. And that was a long story in itself. We were just really good friends. And then she was from Clinton, and I was from Avondale, and just two different worlds apart. She was a minister's daughter, and here's me, this wearing Māori guy from West, trying to do something. And met her in the second year, doing all good. In the second year, unfortunately, me and the boys I grew up with, we ended up getting into a fight. And then one of their boys ended up being seriously injured. It all unfolded, hiding and how it unfolded. I didn't think I was doing anything too wrong up until that point in life. But reflecting back on that, I think it was the possibility of all that happening, because I think we grew up with the idea that violence was just a natural part of life. At home there's violence, at school there's violence, at footy there's violence, but you just kind of like, oh yeah, it's part of what it is, it's part of what happens. Schools fight against schools, you're fighting at the library, you're fighting at the community center, your street fighting against another street. and it just became a normal thing. And then when I got into uni, got older, started going out to town in the city, and every weekend, play footy Saturday, get out to town, and go out, end up fighting some other guys, and that same role happens the next weekend. And unfortunately, one of the times we got into a fight, someone got seriously injured. I'm not proud of it. Still not proud of it. A lot has to do with a lot of that has to do with my journey at the moment, and my sort of journey to redemption. And a good friend of mine, says, redemption's already given. Like, you don't need to ask for forgiveness. That's your selfishness, your ego, thinking you can make the decision. So I've come to terms with that, but I love the space anyway, and the work that I do. But you're going back to hurting the brother. I ended up being sentenced to prison for 9 years, which was pretty heavy at that time. If I could go back, I could probably ask for a different lawyer. Being a first offender, I don't think anyone gets that. I haven't heard anyone getting that unless you're like the extreme end of the spectrum. Not that it was not extreme, but I think all of the mitigating factors of my situation didn't put me in a 9-year bracket. But at that time, our families been involved in the criminal justice system. We didn't understand the language. We didn't understand like nuances that we turning up to court, looking the part, speaking the part, doing research, like understanding the legal terminology that goes on in the court, questioning your lawyer. But I think we have the tendency to believe the lawyer because you think training to know what's up. But like if I could go back, I would convince myself to ask questions, test it, question them, like, hey, are you doing the right, just going right? But when you're just a fresh screener, you just believe this guy has your best intentions at heart. But he had some failings as well that I reflect on, that I should have went back and questioned him about it, not only for my sake, but for the sake of my friends who were appearing with me as well. And so so that unfolded. I ended up getting 9 years prison, which was I feel like even saying them kind of brings back all these memories of yeah. But at that time I was quite like, I'm like, oh yeah, sweet, I'll take it on the chin, I thought I deserved it. And I'll take it on the chin. I'm not innocent, and I know that. So, this must be how things roll. And so I got arrested with a few of my other mates, and I ended up getting the bigger sentence. And they all got not little ones, but not as much as 9. And then that kind of started this journey. I spent 5 years in prison, so which was a blessing in disguise as well. Like a lot of the boys would spend 2/3 of their sentence inside, and 2/3 of 9 is 6. So I was aiming for the 6-year mark to kind of like make my way home. But I was just blessed to be put in a position where I met some pretty awesome people along the way. Came into bat for me. Had my second parole, and then they ended up releasing me in Wellington. 5 years after my sentence started, so I spent 4 years on community probation. 4 years on community probation, and then but at the same time, I was lucky to be supported inside. I had a really awesome tutor, Lindsay Blue from University of Auckland. She went over and above what I thought. She's actually a really good family friend. So she came in and better for me. She sent me resources, connected me up with university lecturers, and really made it a little bit more easier for me to study while I was away. Because to be honest, very as racist too. A lot of education officers that are, their job in the prisons is to like ensure you do education stuff. A lot of them didn't even be say. Like I had to like prove beyond reasonable doubt that I was doing uni stuff, so I could get my packages sent in. You know, and just it was the same repeated process I had to go through at different prisons. But then all these had like all these Balangis and Asians doing like accounting courses and all these other courses that they were just getting like bro, we studied too, man. Like relax. It became a bit of a headache. But I'm thankful that Lindsay Blue, she really went out of her way to, she would ring the prison, she would turn up to visit, she would give me resources. At prison, she would talk to the guards and see if she could make friends with guards, and they ended up being friends with her and giving her some leeway and bringing her other stuff, not other bad stuff, like other resources. Like she got me a TV, a DVD player. But I was like, hey, okay. So I had to watch out. I remember watching like development paper. There was that movie where they like big pharmacy was doing some dodgy pharmacy stuff in Africa. And I remember it was I forgot the main actor. Check it down, but yeah, I remember watching that. I was like, whoa, I'm watching that DVD. It's a real movie. It's a Hollywood movie. It's not a Saturday night 8:30 or Sunday night 8:30 one we used to wait for. It was near like new release. I was like, So shout out to Lindsay for coming in to bat for the Brothers Bench. I did it to a lot. Our family is actually, and yeah, she's awesome. And then then I graduated down in Wellington. I got out, graduated from City of Victoria, and then when I moved back to Auckland, I did masters in planning, and I did that. And then after that, I couldn't find a job. It was just really difficult to find a job in planning. So I ended up heading back to Wellington. So a good friend that I met in Wellington had a job for me. And at that time, I think I was 4 months into unemployment. I hadn't gone to Win, but I wasn't keen on going to Win. In my mind, I was like, man, I just finished working, studying the last few years to get these degrees, and I don't want to go to Win. But I got to a point where I had to find some sort of work, and then my friend had a job in Wellington. So I ended up going back to Wellington and working out of NGO in Uphat, supporting men from prison. So I did that for a couple of years. Then I got a role. From that role, I got a role at community law. I worked at community law, an awesome job. I really loved that job. And at the same time, I was staying as a living supervisor. So I would go back to the Salvation Army home as a living supervisor. So I would work in a day at the marae, and then I'll go home and look after some of the boys at the Salvation Army transition home. And so I was there for time I was in Wellington. And so that was it was like not meant to be work, it's voluntary work, but then I really enjoyed my time at the Salvation Army home. Probably where I learned most of my work with youth was living in that house. Man, like it was challenging as man, living with young people was, man, I was like, man, you guys are headaches. But like good headaches. But man, like you learn a lot about yourself and a lot about young people and understand their stories and how to be in their space at a time when they're struggling. And yeah, that was awesome. Then I ended up back up in Auckland where I am now. So I moved back up to Auckland 2016. And the work that I'm currently doing for Turiki Healthcare is we're working with the county's Manukau Police. And we get referrals for complex cases that are not necessarily helpful going through the traditional court system. So we create a care plan around navigating the alternative options. So just create a plan with them, and then if they get through the plan, whatever that looks like, for example, getting a job, licenses and all that sort of stuff, and then completing that, and if the police are happy with that, their progress, they dismiss their charges. Well, not even dismiss, they don't even take action because the charges aren't live, and so they stay out of the court process, full stop. So I'm in their team with some pretty awesome workers, Mone and Reese. They're they're just OGs of the game, and just every day they do their work, I just learn 2 million times more than I thought I did. So I've got an awesome team, and yeah, that's currently what we're doing at the moment. And then lastly, it's a charity, our charity with our youth, which is me and a group of my mates that we just got grew up with. We just saw there was a need in West Auckland. We just saw there was a service gap for young people. There's young people's services out here, but we thought there was a gap that we could fulfill our film, and so we created this charity based on physical activity, life skills, and then so that's our program. We run a leadership program for high school students, a leadership program, and we've got about probably we had about 20, 23, but we've got 15 concrete that always come. And yeah, we just teach them about our culture, life skills, and what we think is important for young people to navigate growing up. And then mixing a bit of kickboxing and MMA and stuff around it. And so, we've been going since February. And yeah, so that's where we are now, brothers. Sorry for speaking on a bit, eh?
All good.
Bro, before we go any further, I just wanted to thank you for sharing your story, and sort of honor you with your journey that you've been on, bro. Any filmmakers out there, Brad, Jay, you guys listening, you need to make a movie out of this guy, bro. Powerful story also. Road to Redemption. There you go. There's the title. You can have it. I'll get royalties for it after.
Part two. Bro, man, it is.
That's powerful.
But it's what an incredible story, bro. What an incredible, I guess you could say, testimony of your life, and you're saying you Road to Redemption. And like, because I was reading through the introduction, Barney, and I was like, I didn't realize when you said graduated whilst in prison, and I thought, oh man, and then
bro, he was gonna police vet you to come on the show. Okay, nah, he's all good. He's all right.
This police vets, man, I filled out 2 million of these forms, man. These forms inside out.
but it was a kind of caught my eyes. I went in prison, and then you got your master's and first class honors as well. I was like, man, that's amazing. But and whilst you were in prison and all that, and obviously with the incident that happened to get you incarcerated, as to why you were incarcerated, but what was whilst you were in there? Because I think a lot of people will be watching this. A lot of men will be watching this. Man, so he was in prison, did his studies in prison, finished his studies in prison, does his master's when he's released. But while all that was happening, whilst you were studying all that, Barney, what was going on? What was happening in here? Like for you, while you were in there those several years and doing those studies, what kept you sane, and what kept you like going and say, I'm gonna, because some people might go, oh, I'm in prison, he stuffed this, I didn't care about studying. Who cares about it? I'm here, I'll just buy my time and then get out of here. But obviously something was different about you. And so what was that push? What was that kind of fire under the belly that kind of kept you like, oh, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna get my master's, I'm gonna graduate, and I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna do something. What was that? Tell us, Barney, what was happening in here?
Yeah, it was family. Like I in my mind, I was like, it was just just my family, just seeing them come to court and like sacrifice. Because I got sent to prison with my younger brother as well, and so it was weighing heavy. So I was like 100% committed to doing what I needed to do better when this is all over for my family. Like I needed to what can I do now? So when I get out, we can change this. We can change this. So that's what kept me committed. I needed to do this for my mum. I needed to do it for my family. I needed to do it for my community and show them like this isn't going to change. This isn't going to change me. It was just like I need to make sure that it was just for my family, to make sure I ensured my family was better off when this was all over. And that was my constant reminder in my head. Just seeing all those things my mum would do for me, like she would put money in how trust account for extra food. She would travel to different prisons. She would send us in clothing. She repeatedly did all that stuff, and I was like, no, we can't let this happen again. And then there was other people that were involved as well, like friends, Lindsay. It's a constant reminder. You can't let all these good people do all this for you and not do your utmost best to rectify this wrong. And like, I don't know the victims as well. I don't know them personally. I mean, I know who they are, like, personally as well. Like, you hurt someone seriously, so you need to show, if you can't talk to them directly, what are your actions going to be? So if they saw you in the street or saw you on TV or wherever, they knew that you were a good person and you weren't as bad as they thought you would be. You know? And like, so when your victims see you, you're not rubbing their face that you're a bad person. They're like, oh, this guy's doing good for himself. He wasn't like that. Didn't mean to do what he meant. And that's in some sort of indirect way showing them a respect too. So just, yeah, all that stuff, just trying to like shift it all.
Wow. Because I can imagine, Barney, like for someone like yourself, and obviously you do a lot of amazing work right now in terms of working with young people and the charitable trusts, and you're leading all these youth offenders and all that kind of stuff. Because a lot of people will be watching this, and especially some of the young men, like, how did he do that? How did he get inside there? Because I know I can imagine some guys who go in there and they kind of fall through the cracks. Some, Barney, or some guys who maybe like probably in the wrong, like similar to you, wrong place at the wrong time, get into a scuffle or whatever, and they find themselves in prison. And I can imagine some of those guys go in there probably real good, you know, and then somehow they get caught up with the gangs and all that kind of stuff, or caught up into more and come out worse than when they went in. But I'd say for you, how did you do it on Barney? Because it'd be interesting, because a lot of the young boys like, man, because you didn't go there, didn't come out as a gangster, wanted to be a gangster, come out, wanted to do this and that, and wanted to get into crime. But you came out, even before you came out, you came up with a master's degree. And somehow you men that need to listen or to hear, like, what was it besides the family and your loved ones, but what was it that what I'm trying to say is that what was it that kind of kept you in the fight for you to come out and say, I'm not going to go back there, I'm just going to keep going? Besides family, what was it? What did you have to do? What did you actually have to do? Say to yourself, were there things that you had to say to yourself?
Yeah. It was a daily reminder. So my practices was wake up in the morning, read a scripture, say a prayer, and like, you know, talk to God and tell him like what's my plan for the day, grace my plan, and regularly do that. And regularly talk, pray, talk to the voice in your head. There's a voice in the head that keeps talking to you. It can be really negative sometimes. So creating a conversation in your head that getting all the good values, good words spoken into you, because you know, you read scripture, it's all about good values. Even if you're not Christian as such, you know, just reminding yourself the positive things about your own self, positive things that you know are good about yourself. But creating a positive conversation first and foremost, so you know that whatever negative things face you during the day, because it's hard. Like, you walk out into the yard, there is nothing positive. Like, it's either conversations about the next robbery they're going to do, or conversations about who's going to have the next one out, or who's bringing the next set of drugs. So there's all those conversations going in the yard, so you're going to have to, you know, create a symphony in your head of positive thinking. And that, for me, that came from prayer. You know, praying, the word, taking the word and putting it into my mind, and just reminding me about the word. And my scripture was Romans 5:3-5, and it talked about perseverance, character, and hope. Yeah, those were my three: perseverance, character, and hope. And that was my mantra: perseverance, character, hope. Perseverance, no matter what. If you're breathing for air, you're gonna make it through. That's how you're gonna persevere. Character is you, your family, your loved ones, everything that's got you to where you are today. That's gonna get you up. And last is hope. Hope is whatever, blind, not seeing nothing, is still gonna make it through the path. So those are my three through like values I keep reminding myself of. They came through scripture. Yeah. So that was my conversation with you, and that was how I convinced myself. Because it's not easy. Like I said, there's a cacophony of negative thinking in the yard that goes around and around in a whirlwind. And if you're not like, resilient in yourself, it's easy. You can understand the boys gave you be caught up in it. Yeah, so, but I mean, I wasn't perfect. There were times where I couldn't even hear the orchestra in my head, so I ended up hearing the yard's orchestra. But then those days where I just got up, pray, walked out. Always touch the top of my cell. So I walk up, top of my cell was a touch the top of my cell. You know, like yeah, I'm walking out into Ericsson Stadium. I always pray, boom. And I still did it now, actually, strangely enough, where I pop when I'm in places, like I do a little prayer, touch the roof or touch the doorway, and walk in or out. But yeah, that was me. That's how I got myself ready. I convinced myself that it was going to be all good and made sure the conversation in my head was positive. I think yeah, that was the thing. What I try to do daily. And, yeah.
That's awesome, bro. Such a powerful sharing. So in terms of like, you came out with a degree, you went on to further study, and you would think that okay, there should be jobs lined up. Talk us through the difficulties of like trying to find a job, and then some of the thought process that you're going through. Like, man, no one's taking me. Like, what was crossing your mind? Okay, man, should I go and sell drugs or something, or I don't know.
Well, that's exactly it. It was starting to get to the point like I was 4 months into unemployment, and so that was like not contributing at home, and then I started feeling guilty and a burden, and all these negative thoughts in my head were like, "No, you're worthless. No one wants you. No matter what effort you're gonna make, you're never gonna make it." That was all coming together at that 4 month mark when I wasn't contributing at home, like living in the house and not being able to pay mum contribution to the rent. It's like that's the hardest thing to ever live in. And I know I was being a bit prideful not going to win, but I just didn't feel like I deserved it. I felt like there were a lot of more deserving people. And so, yeah, the conversation in my head was negative. I was on the back foot. I didn't think it was going to work out. And just all these negative thoughts, like you said, like, hey, all the boys are doing, they're doing good. All the boys that I went through, they're living a good life. All these guys rolling around and got all these fast cars and stuff and stuff like that. They're doing really well and stuff. So, you do mind. This is what the mind says to you. Is like just one. All I need is just a couple of maybe a couple of G's. Drop it off to mum, and she won't know where it's come from. So it's Christian money, but it's her hand. So that's all I do. Convince myself. Nah, it's all good. But then, I just lucky at the time my mate reached out, and then I was like, nah, man, lucky. I was waiting for a light, man. It had to come from somewhere, and yeah. So that's my mind was like all over the place. Not even wanting to be here because you're getting. I think I've seen 36 applications, 36 applications. It got to the stage where I was making applications online, and so you make applications to a job like a consultancy job at the council, and then it says, "Do you have a previous conviction?" And it's got like a yes or no box, and you go no, and you carry on, and you go yes. Bing! Explain. So what had happened was like I had this big spiel about my convictions that I had saved on the desktop. So in all my applications, just copy, paste, bump, copy, paste, bump. So I had this little document that I just copy and paste the same one into all 36 applications, and I never got a bite back. I never got a bite back, And part of me thinks like maybe if I didn't follow them and just went through the process, But I was at the stage, nah, I've done enough work. Surely they'll understand my plight. But no, they didn't. No one believed me. They didn't believe me.
All right. Wow, what a story of resilience. And how did it affect your relationships, during that 4 month period?
At that time, I wasn't in a relationship at that time. At the time, Lisa, my wife, we were still friends. So I wasn't in a relationship at that moment. Oh no, I like. Basically, I was in a relationship. It wasn't with Lisa. It wasn't with Lisa, and it wasn't long. It was maybe 7 months. It wasn't long, and yeah, well, that was really negative as well at that time. So that didn't help, and so I ended that relationship, but it wasn't positive.
Oh, cool. Oh, sweet. Because I was thinking when you went and did the living in Wellington, I was going, oh, this guy sacrificed his family and his missus, but yeah, that puts some. So I'm just thinking of the script when we put your movie together, like how we're gonna pen it out, you know? Do you want me to act as you? Nah.
Oh no, I think you need to put a bit more muscle in the shoulders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 35-inch biceps.
I'll probably have to get some hair.
Oh, you can play me when I'm like a grandfather. No. Jokes.
Shadows. Fire up.
So, sorry, Barney, just go back, because I know you work with a lot of young people now and a lot of youth offenders now. Just wondering, for a lot of these young boys growing up, I'm pretty sure they can relate to your story, but also for some of these guys who've gone through their kind of similar situations or stories, and they're adults now. I'm just wondering, what could be something that you could share with some of these guys who've kind of gone through the system and come out, and they're still trying to find their feet. What kind of advice could you give some of these men who are still trying to, in that place, even right now, with whether there's voices or they feel like crap, I'm not doing well, I can't get a job? What are some of the words of encouragement you could help them, or ways that you could help these men?
Yeah, I think if I could go back and talk to myself, I would tell myself, don't try and cramp your lost years into 1 week. I think that was really tripping up. I tried to squeeze in all my lost time into all those, just wanted to I think that's a warning to a lot of the boys. Don't take your time, be patient. Even though it might seem difficult to be patient, just be patient. Just take your time. Don't try and make up for lost time, because you end up just running yourself ragged and being disappointed even more. Things didn't go your way. So just be patient, and it'll all come in the end. And secondly, create a real strong support group. I think support group doesn't not necessarily have to be family. It can be anyone that you feel is in your corner supporting you. It can be your church family, sports family, your arts family, your music family. It's real strong support group. And lastly, just have be faith and belief. Just know it's going to be all good. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in those who've gone before you. I think those are some quick practical things.
That's really good, Barney. That's so good, because even for the young guys growing up, obviously there's a lot of difference from our time, kind of growing up as kids and all that. But what do you see in terms of men, our young men, and even our young, even as adults? What do you think is I don't know, because you might think different, Barney. You might think, no, it's all good. We just go through the same struggles, same issues, but different era. What do you think is one of the biggest things in terms of our men, even more so if we go even slimmer in terms of our Māori and Pacific Island men? What do you think is the issue that really, why is it that our men sometimes just they take charge or go hard? And what do you think is one of the reasons as to why our men are not really thriving?
I think there's a few reasons. I think I've got a couple ideas. I think the first would be for me as an example, my role models. And my dad was my role model, and he was a real negative role model. So I didn't have a template to work off. And so because I didn't have a template to work off, I was just guessing, I ended up trying to learn off my mates, and so trying to learn how to be a man of other young people was probably not the best idea. So it was like a testing, testing out the different theories and different ways on how to be a man wasn't working, and the people, role models in my life at that time weren't the best. I didn't have the father role model to show me at least the direction, at least whether I'm going north, south, or east, show me which way. But I never had anyone, and because I didn't have anyone, I tried to rely on my boys and my mates and that are close to me. But they're all in a similar situation too. But a lot of them didn't have their dads around as well. I think a dad doesn't have to be your blood dad. It can be an older uncle. It can be like an older big at church footy. So I had a few of those older, reliable men in my life who weren't my dad, but I still learned a lot of. Often I still do now, and they've always been wise counsel at their time. But I think we're struggling as well because there's so much conversations out there that convince us otherwise what a real Polynesian Maori man looks like. I think we still have that stigma of trying to be tough and manly, blokey bloke, which does a disservice to our family and loved ones who we try to convince that we are. And it does infiltrate our parenting styles. We're trying to reflecting that onto our kids as well. We become emotionally redundant and speak the issues that we need to speak with the young people. And that's really negative because we end up building up young people who are emotionally detached from anything in the world. They don't want to speak to you. They don't want to talk to anyone. And just stuck to their phone and showing their vulnerability to their friends rather than you. I think that's something that I wouldn't mind more about Pacific and Māori dads talking to our kids a lot more about their feelings. I think if we get emotionally in tune into what feelings look like, smell like, and sound like, I think they're more likely to speak about their feelings in general, but also more likely to speak about their feelings to you. And if they're not doing too well in life, they're able to articulate their feelings of what's going wrong, and if they give you clear and direct clues of what's going wrong, you're able to address it. Whereas at the moment, you're getting a real detached young person who's not speaking to you, whose eyes are on the screen, who wants to be too busy giving little TikTok clips to their friends and stuff, rather than feeding back information that they ain't doing too well. And so that you have these situations where young people are passing away and going to like, I didn't know the signs, I didn't know what this was going on. But I think if we can build up young people who are emotionally attached and able to articulate what unhappiness looks like, or sadness looks like, or depression looks like, at least they know that language from a young age. So when they get to those age of teenage years, they're more able to articulate that to you directly. And what better way to get a message sent than a clear one? And if it's a bad one, at least you know what you're dealing with. And then, so that's what that's what I hope to do with my daughter anyway. So she can trust in me to have this conversation. There's no barriers for her to have a courageous conversation with me. She knows I enjoy this conversation. She knows the language. She knows she won't get ridiculed or shamed or embarrassed when she talks about her feelings, about being disappointed in me. We can build up a generation of young people tuned to the feelings like that. Then I think we'll be better off and be better able to stop a lot of the trauma or hurt that's going on now with the young people. And I think that's important. Yeah.
It's awesome, Barney. Wow, I love it. It's very cool, Barney. And I love it because you're able to kind of give practical application for our men, and so this is so true. I love what you just shared. So Charles, you wanted to ask?
Yeah, just in terms of your ideologies and what informs it, like what shapes the way you think around what you observe and how you feel about men and young people.
What ideologies? That's a pretty deep question there, Charles. we have to bring out.
I'm probably using the wrong word.
We'll pull up my PowerPoint or something. We'll pull out a PowerPoint with a framework on it or something.
Pathway model.
Yeah.
I think what I'm trying to get at is like, because for a lot of us, we have circles that we get to talk about these things, and we bounce off each other, and we're like, "Oh, yeah, that's mean," and we take it in and we apply it, and then we wrestle with it again. Or for you, is it just stuff that you research, or just stuff that you're really interested in to really shape who you are or how you want to practice as being a good father?
Yeah, I think for me it was just like the simple practical things that will work ASAP. Like, because I've seen, like, cause you see the trauma. I've been amongst the trauma. I've been amongst the crisis, and like, so my responses are like, because that's my job as well. Like in crisis mode. So in crisis mode, all you're thinking about is what are the most, what's the most proactive or pragmatic thing you can say or do now that can fix or support fixing a situation. And so that's where my mentality comes from. What ideas can I have that can like change something quick? They can have transformative change now because it's a crisis. So that's the sort of mentality I have. Like, oh yeah, what can we now? Like, I think that's my mentality at any time. I'm trying to think like, oh, hey, or even in meetings talking about, so like, what can we do now? Like, what can we do now today? Like, you know, we have finally like, can we just go buy the food now? Can we just go buy it? And like, you know, like, why do we have a meeting? Let's just do it now. Like, yes, we're going to do it, you know, those sort of things. So in my mind, like, just how to stop the trauma as quick as possible. Yeah.
So I love some of the stuff that you have brought up. Oh, nearly all of the stuff that you have talked about. And I think for us as Monday, and especially, you know, in the roles that we do and as Pacifica men, we're trying to sort of model it or have these conversations so that other men can sort of be inspired by it, and then know that this is normal. This is a lot of the stuff that we wrestle with, and how can we create a culture where we can navigate through these issues and sort of for them to model themselves. So I guess my question is like, have you got any ideas around how can we build up other men on the same path?
I mean, look at your stories. I think they're real strong traditional cultural stories that show that we're awesome men. We're men of compassion. We're men of love. You know, we're like, look at our stories. You know, there's multiple stories in Pacific and Maori them that speak to the fact that like we didn't fight and use violence in the way that it is now. Like our idea of violence was only in a particular space and time and with particular parameters. For example, you only use violence when you went to war, and when war was over, it was over. Like you had these processes of forgiveness and healing. That's what happened, right? And so, like, if we transpose that now to now, like now, what's going on in our homes? Why are we using violence when we didn't use it back in the days? What are those values we're missing? So taking those values of like family, respect, village mentality that we had previously, and making them real today and in today's world. So we don't need to use violence in any sense, you know. We don't need to use all those things, you know. We are loving. And, us men, we're never harmful towards our children. We never did that. There was nowhere in our thing, and it's not about being, oh, you just trying to be the cool guy or being the woke guy, you know. You're like, I just want to be a woke new age guy. I'm like, nah, but it's just like you haven't read any books yet, and I'm here to tell you in words what I used to be. You know, like it's not about being woke. It's about this is how we used to be. You know, and saying also so that was it. Listen to our stories. Secondly, it was it's okay. You know how the saying goes. It's okay to not be okay, and be vulnerable, be uncomfortable. It's make mistakes. You know, be in that space. Don't be embarrassed or be shy or feel any lesser if you make mistakes. I think a tendency to like, you know, us as men, like we pile on mistakes to to the point where like our bag is full of bricks and we can't even walk anymore. But if we make mistakes, ask for help, reach out, ask for help, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Be uncomfortable. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's okay to not be okay, and it's going to be alright. It's going to be alright too. So you don't need to be traumatized yourself if you make one mistake, make another mistake. Just breathe, 1, 2, 3, and then reach. Breathe, 1, 2, 3, then reach, and then there'll always be someone there to grab your hand. And I think that's probably it, really. And conversations. I think like these situations, like mandate, and like all the other podcasts that are going on, telling all that's going on. I think building, like, if we can have like 10 million of these circles going on, and then replicating them in real life as well. Normalizing these sort of conversations, giving ourselves permissions to reach out, giving ourselves permission to talk to other men in these ways. I think it just, it's a ripple effect. We normalize conversations, vulnerable conversations. Hopefully, it ripples out through the community, and a lot of our men open up and speak to their weakness, but also speak to their strengths as well.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Sure, bro. And just while we're going off your what you've just said, and we're not people of violence, and I'm just speaking from people from the outside that are looking at your program. You're using MMA and kickboxing as a tool to teach these kids leadership, and I get it, but can you explain what's that all about?
Yeah, no, I was good. Like I was saying before, violence in a particular space, and I think in this space, like violence comes with a different intention. Violence comes with the intention of hurting a man, whereas like martial arts comes with discipline, comes with learning. So violence comes with intention to hurt another person, whereas teaching MMA, kickboxing, it comes with all these valuable skills like discipline, self-defense, commitment, teamwork, all those beautiful values that come with growing a person. So violence, like against other people, to hurt them is a total different intention and comes with a total different spirit. Whereas a young person learning how to throw a punch in a competitive space or self-defense comes with a different intention.
That's cool. Our young people, they love throwing a kick and they're punching. And so when you're helping them when you're teaching them discipline and how to be self-control and being in a controlled space, it's quite transformative, eh? So, sure, bro. I love the work you do. Hopefully, I got some kids out west. I'll refer them to you.
Oh, no, definitely come through.
Hard up. That's me.
Where's the gym, Barney? Where's the...
In Henderson.
Oh, wow. What's the name called? Is it Maka? Is it?
Oh, that's our program, Maka Leadership. But our hub is called BHC Youth Hub.
Oh, yep.
We're just behind our Waitakere College.
Mean.
That's me. Well, use this opportunity to plug through your programs, and I think it's Concrete podcast or Concrete Convos. Yeah.
Well, that's so cool. I totally agree, Barney, what you're saying in terms of mixed martial arts. Obviously, and I think we've had this conversation with Charles, and I think I go to the schools as well to run programs, but in particular, because I notice a lot of the boys, and you would know this as well. All of us are here would know this. A lot of our boys are into this, Shinka King now. And always want to spar. And every school I've been to, or high school I've been to, all the boys want to spar. They do shin kicks and all that kind of stuff. Like, man. And so, I thought, man, maybe there needs to be some programs like your program, the Maka Leadership Program. But there's these more programs out there, and I thought we'll try and develop a program in the schools of boxing and all that kind of stuff. And you're absolutely right. There's something about the boxing and the mixed martial arts that helps our kids to not only the endorphins and they feel healthy and getting all that good stuff in terms of fitness and health, but there's something that kind of helps them to stay focused, eh, Barney? Focus and discipline. I see these kids who are kind of deemed the naughty kids, the kids who are the vigilantes or the bad kids, so to speak, or high risk kids. These kids, when you get them in the ring or doing drills, boxing or mixed martial arts, these kids change. They focus. They understand even memorizing the drills and all that kind of stuff. And something happens with the body and the mind. They're able to think and really stay focused. Like, man, how does this happen? So can you tell us more about that? Is there something that's why that's so popular for all kids or kids who are quite physical? But is there something that as to why we or men in general kind of something happens? This the physical and the mental kind of clicks and you're able to withstand and think and focus. What's that all about, Barney?
Oh, I think it's, well, first of all, I think it may have to do with like the chemical releases. I think that's the physiological change that comes with physical activity. I think the release of, well, the endorphins, they call it. I'm not too sure. I'm just saying.
Endorphins and serotonin.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Dopamine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just going to say that too, Charles. Yeah. But I mean, I think for us, because we didn't want our boys just to think it's just a gym. So we try to inform them that it's not a gym, it's a leadership program. And so they've taken a different look at what it looks like. And it's actually funny because a couple of the boys jumped off the program when they heard it was a leadership program before we started. And then once they figured out, oh, nuts, then they like jump back on. I'm like, oh, these guys just want to come for free lessons, eh? Yeah, so that's definitely we take well, our formula is our session to break up 15 minutes is team building. So whatever team activities Leo has to do, it's all about like talking about those things. Like he has little activities that talks about emotions and stuff like that. And then 30 minutes is physical activity, and then the last part is reflections and feedback. And so that every lesson that goes on, that's the way it's formulated or formed. So you didn't turn up and train and leave. It's like, hey, you come in, you buy into the course, and you give yourself to this program, or build yourself to the program, and time you have to train. And so that's because we didn't want it to be a gym. We didn't want anyone to come train, which is still all good. And a lot of the benefits are unintentional sometimes, and they fall out of the training. But we wanted to be sure that the learning is concrete.
That's cool. What does your gym resonate more to, Cobra Kai or Mr. Miyagi?
I think it's Cobra Kai at the moment, man. These young cats are, man, like, these young cats are Cobra Kai, man. Oh, man. But now
Buddy, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing?
These young cats are Cobra Kai. They got energy, man. They got energy. All good energy.
It requires a lot of patience too, eh? Because like it's something our young people like, but it's not for everyone. You got to get their buy-in. They got to realize there's still like you're gonna learn stuff, but you got to like train. But I love how you've mixed in the workshops, the reflection time, the different conversations in the beginning. So it's awesome, bro. That's been. Hopefully, it can come through and have a look-sees.
No. Wow, that's so cool, Barney. Because Barney's so funny because you said you wanted to be a teacher, then you loved geography and all that kind of stuff. So what in terms of geography, are you doing anything with geography right now, or even planning and all?
Yeah, no. When I use a Google Maps, that's my geography. When I use the Google Maps to drop these vouchers out to people, that's as close as I got. That gets easier than anything. But
it's interesting. Man, it is interesting because you're a teacher, geography, your master's in planning, and you're working with young people, and you're a trustee and all that kind of stuff. And man, you're doing all these amazing things. Also, But out of all the things that you're doing right now, what's the closest for you personally? What's the thing that really kind of lights your fire right now? And I was doing all those things, but what's the one thing they're like, man, this is the one for me. This is the even though you love those other things, but which one out of all those things that is probably for you like this is the one?
Man, that's a tough question. That's a tough question. Oh, you stopped me to. Oh, I think yeah, two. I think the trust. I think that occupies a lot of my mind space. My dreams are all to like what can we do next, or like how cool can we make the next decision, and like how can we. I think my long term goal is how can we make our trust sustainable for the boys to work full time. That's where all my dreams are at the moment. Like all my energy is going towards like, and it's been a funny situation creating a charity and then like trying to apply for funding, but these guys didn't know who you are. Then having to repeat your story to everyone and like at the moment we don't have anyone like formally. We did get a pocket of funding from Sport Waitakere, so shout out to them for trusting us. But I think that was for our equipment. But they don't fund like the other stuff we want to do, like the time for facilitators, trainers, do anything else in the hub as well. So we're still applying for funding. So my energy's been focused on like just telling our story to whoever wants to listen, and hoping that someone, I think we applied for Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Health funding that came in. They everyone was a few million, and we applied for that. Our charity, we applied. We wanted to make a Mucka village online, so take all our classes online, and then provide free internet for the young people. But got denied. We called them Digi Lalanga packs, and then got the big denial. Sorry, didn't get it.
Hey, they lost, bro. They lost. Oh man,
so they lost, bro. All in timing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been my commitment at the moment, my passion is to tell our story and just slowly build and hopefully build a place where young people feel like they can come to for anything. And so and my current role, I really love working with the police. I never thought I would be here working with the police directly. Like every Thursday we meet with the police. I don't know if you met Katie Prickens. She's a real on-to police officer, man. We work tight with her, and she's like the OG. And like, she doesn't seem like a police officer. She's really changed my view on the police. She has, and so she's really awesome to work with her. I really find it really weird, strange in a way, but satisfying to be able to work that closely with the police. It's cool.
Come full circle, eh?
That's so cool, man. Sorry, Barney, yeah, the trust, is it the BHC with the brothers? Is it with you and your boys, or is it the Mucka leadership? Is it the whole thing? Is it?
Oh, the police stuff that I do with Suriki Haukia, I really enjoy that. Yeah, that's another thing that takes up my mind space sometimes.
Oh, that's cool. Really weary for time, of your time, but also I know we got to get you back on when we get back into the studio. So if you're available at some point, we'd love to have you on. And off screen, I want to talk to you about something. But yeah, just before we get near the end, man, if you could give one sentence of inspiration to impart to our viewers, what would that be?
One sentence, tough one. Oh, can I give you one that I found today? Man, I posted it in our chat for our Brotherhood Continues Trust, because I think all the boys are getting a bit restless because we just wanting someone to back us, and I found a quote from Joyce Meyer about patience. Patience is not simply the ability to wait; it's how we behave while waiting. And yeah, I just thought that was really on point. Not only for the boys that I trust, but just for my journey as a whole. Like there was a lot of waiting, but like you see, this conversation in my head that dictated how my attitude was, and yeah, conversations most often than not.
Wow. Can you say that again, Barney?
Patience is not simply the ability to wait; it's how we behave while waiting.
Wow. Wow. That's so true, bro. So true.
Love that.
So true, Barney. And Barney, yeah, man, thank you so much. Also, thank you for your time, bro. And you brought something just kind of with Romans chapter 5, verse 3. Bro, I love that. I love that chapter, and I love that verse. Yeah, it just kind of speaks volumes. And I love what you said that during your time inside, that was the kind of the verse that kind of stood out for you. And I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people need to understand that in terms of, because it talks about refining, Barney, refining the character, producing perseverance, patience, and then hope. And to be honest, also, I think you are kind of like a beacon of hope, not only for our men, but more so for our young people. You and you and your mates that is part of the trust, bro. You're a true testimony of working with young people, but also understanding a lot of the issues that our young men go through, and our youngsters. And so, bro, thank you so much for coming on the show, Barney. And Charles is right. We need to get you in the studio, bro. We need to get you in the studio for part 2. Just an amazing conversation, bro, and really appreciate it. Hey, Charles, what a cool talanoa, cool kōrero today, bro. Yeah, very inspired, bro. Thank you so much. But we do have a gift for you, Barney. Every guest that comes on, we always give a gift. And so I always like to. So the reason why I'm looking down and jotting down stuff, writing down stuff is just to kind of recap the words the words or that you've mentioned tonight. And so I do a bit of a sketch and a caricature of each guest that comes on. And so this is for you. So when the alert levels go down, Charles and I will gladly come over to the west side and drop this off to you, bro. So it's you, buddy.
Oh, jeez.
I know you're probably waiting.
Hey,
this for you as well. Yeah, no, thank you so much for your time, bro.
Man.
So yeah, no worries. Charles and I will come over. We'll come over to the west side, to the Wild West. We'll drop it over to you also. Yeah, no, thank you so much, Barney. We appreciate your time, bro.
Nah, man, thank you guys, man. Thank you, Brother Batia, Brother Charles. Thank you for the opportunity to come through. Always respect the brothers when they put out an invitation to come and Talanoa. Man, I'm glad to be in this work with you guys, getting this work done, getting out there in the community and tagging in and creating a circle of brotherhood that we can call on and we can grow as well. And I appreciate you guys being in the circle, and I'm thankful and privileged to know you guys, to spend this time with you, and I'm good to connect up with you again, Brother Charles. Always been a solid brother, and good to see you too, Patia. Like I said the last time, I didn't meet you, but my wife and her family met you, so thank you, brother, and I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, awesome so much. And so we'll leave the last words to you, Barney.
Refine, unlock, take charge.
Mandate.